Your app can work perfectly and still be a totally terrible system. How does that even make sense, right? Well, getting your head around this little paradox is the real secret behind building software that actually succeeds. So, let's get into it. Okay, so picture this. You've built the feature. It runs, there are no errors. Everything on the surface seems to check out, so the system's good, right? But here's the question. If your app works, why is it still failing out there in the real world? Well, the answer is all about two different kinds of requirements. On one side, you've got functional requirements. This is just what the system does, the basic tasks. But on the other side, you've got non-functional requirements. This isn't about what it does, it's about how well it does it. And trust me, that little distinction, it's everything. So, functional requirements. These are pretty much the obvious stuff, right? They're the features you list on a box. The big question here is simply, does it work? And you know what? AI tools these days are getting insanely good at cranking this part out. Things like, can a user upload a photo? Can they create a task? Can they send a message, update a status? It's the basic checklist of what the system can do, kind of like the verbs of your application. So you can get all of that right. You can check off every single functional box on your list. But here's where things get interesting. This is the exact spot where most projects secretly and silently start to fail. And that brings us to the really crucial stuff, non-functional requirements, or as you'll often hear, NFRs. Now, these aren't new features, not at all. There's the qualities your system has. They're all about how it should behave. Think of them as the rules that constrain your features, like how fast they need to be or how secure. And man, the scope of these NFRs is just massive. We're talking about performance. Is it fast? Scalability? Can it actually handle growth? What about reliability? What happens when something inevitably breaks? And then you have security, maintainability. The list goes on. These are the qualities that make a system truly solid. Okay, so check this out. This example really hits it home. The functional requirement is simple. A user can upload a photo. Easy. But the non-functional one, that upload has to complete in under 200 milliseconds for 1 million users at the same time without crashing. You see that? It's the exact same feature, but it's a completely different universe of difficulty. Let's bring this down to earth. Think about a simple college project versus, Instagram. They both let you upload photos, right? But one is built to handle maybe you and a few friends. The other has to handle the entire planet. That gigantic difference, that engineering chasm, that is all about non-functional requirements and good system design. So here's the big takeaway, the thing that really separates junior developers from senior engineers. Most systems, they don't fail because they're missing a feature. No way. They fail because they're slow. They fail because they can't scale. They fail because they just crumble under pressure. This is the mindset shift you have to make. Smart builders, they don't just ask, will it work? They ask the harder questions. Will it still work under pressure? Will it still work at a massive scale? And what happens when things go wrong? Because asking those questions, that's how you build systems that don't just work, but systems that actually win.